So the Great Elevation Workshop, what I would love to hear in the chat is what drew you to this workshop? I'd love to hear from people if you want to share. That's really you guys provide so much energy because we always attract such an amazing, smart, genius women to these groups. So I'd love to hear what is it that drew you to the Great Elevation Workshop? If anybody wants to put that in the chat, I'd love to hear it. And I'll just keep going. Hi, Jamie.
Hi.
Tricia.
A great friend of mine actually told me about you and your workshops, and I was very intrigued. So I'm very, very excited to gain and learn and empowerment and just better self me who I am in a whole. So thank you for having me.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you.
I thank you.
Yes. And so, yeah, let's get everybody also in the chat. I love that. I needed to elevate my mindset and optimism. Yes. Fantastic. And, I'm going to get into what is elevated thinking and why is it important right now? So let's just dive in. So we talked about your workbook. If everybody could just keep their Zooms on mute for the recording until such time that we open it up and you ask a question, that'd be great. But thank you for sharing why you're here. And here's the first thing I want to say just right out of the gate today. I really am going to invite you, and I know this is hard to do, but every day this week, especially today, I'm going to invite you to turn off your notifications, close your email inbox, and silence your phone. And just give yourself permission to spend the next 45 minutes, 50 minutes with me to talk about your great elevation and slow down with me this week. And here's why, because attention leads to awareness. Attention leads to awareness. And the only way we can really get attention, right, to really get our attention is to what? Turn everything else off. So I'm really going to encourage you to do this. And for those of you, I know many of you, but there are also women who are here today and are going to be listening to the recording who have never met me before. This is your first experience with me. So I'm going to just take 30 seconds and share who I am. And you may be thinking, why should I even bother to listen to this woman? So I've been an entrepreneur for 30 plus years, which is kind of hard to believe and even harder to say. And in those 30 years, 18 years exclusively serving women. So here's what you know for sure. I've kind of seen it all. I've pretty much seen all of it, everything that can happen, everything that can go well, and everything, the struggle and the juggle, the ups and the downs. I've lived through all of it. I'm married. I've been married to my husband for 25 years. We have 2 children in college. But here's the part that's really important for you to hear and why I created the Great Elevation Workshop. In the last 6 years, I have gone through 5 major life transitions. 5. So what are they? And because I think some of you will identify with it. I've gone through losing both my parents in a 2-year period. We went through our daughter having just a horrific sports injury. She's a basketball player when she was in high school, which required 2 surgeries and a full year of 5 days a week physical therapy in order for her to heal. I mean, it was intense. It was intense physical therapy, a lot of pain, a lot of struggle. And I also turned 60, which is a big transition. And then guess what? Right after I turned 60 on March 9th, 2020, everybody's date here is going to be different. I was told by my husband's physician, because my husband is a transplant patient. He had a kidney transplant. I was told that I was going to go into a complete lockdown and I wasn't going to be going to the grocery store, to the gym, really anywhere for, TBD, to be determined. So, and I know many of you went through that. So I went through 2 years of the pandemic. And then once the pandemic sort of lifted and eased up a bit, I became an empty nester because our daughter went to college. Wow, right? So those are 5 major transitions. Now, listen, just any one of those could really create pause for you to stop and think about your life. And so what happened for me, and I'm guessing it may be happening for some of you, is when the pandemic lifted, and of course, life went back to the new normal, I saw a lot of women just doing what? Going back, putting our heads down, and just getting back to work. Just, okay, that's over. I lived through that. And now I'm just going to go back to either the business I own, the corporate career I have, or whatever it is. And we put our heads down, we go back to work. But there isn't a single woman, there isn't a single human that wasn't changed from that pandemic. There wasn't a single person that wouldn't be changed in any one of those 5 transitions, right, that I just talked about. So for me, and then I read an interesting statistic. I read a statistic that let's take the pandemic away, because we did lose a lot of people during that time. But even so, if you could just mute yourself, maybe I can even mute people. I don't know if I can or not. Yes, I can. Even if beyond the pandemic, because of all the changes and advances in medicine, we are living 30 years longer than we did 100 years ago. 30 years. So the question you kind of have to ask yourself, and what I asked myself, is, I'm going to get 30 more years potentially. Am I happy with the way it's going? Am I happy with the way, when I wake up in the morning, am I happy with how I'm living, what I'm doing? And so for me, I had 2 big elevations happen in my life. And the first one was, we had been helping and serving women for 17 years under the Smart Women, Smart Solutions banner, helping them with strategy and leadership. And we still do that. But what we've been called is to add on to that and really make sure that when we're advising women on strategy and leadership, or whatever your next life, your next season in life is, that you do it with joy. You do it with joy, because living with peace and living with joy is something that I don't see a lot of people doing. And a lot of people sort of shove it to the side. Yeah, I'll have peace and joy after I get this. Yeah, once I attain that, I'll have peace and joy, right? Actually, it requires peace and joy for us to live into this next level of greatness. And every woman on this Zoom has a next level of greatness, no matter how much you've achieved. And we've got some big achievers here. Let me tell you, I know some of you, I know your stories. We've got some big achievers here today. And I will tell you that you have another level of greatness. And for me, I wanted to step into that next level of greatness. And I felt it was, part of that finding joy every day for more women. But what was the other thing? This was really big for me. Those of you who know me well know that for 14 years, all I thought about was, I'm a mountain gal and I wanted to have a home in Park City. I live in Los Angeles. That's where I live. We live in Los Angeles. I'm in Park City right now. But one of the things that happened to me, and I'm going to show you a diagram about all this to really bring it home to you, to make it visual in just a couple seconds. But what happened for me was no more waiting. No more. I wasn't going to wait anymore. You know why? Because 2 years had kind of been stolen from me. And I'll bet you feel the same way on some level. We lost time, right? Yeah, Jamie's saying, yeah, she's raising her hand. I'd love to hear from you in the chat too, because that helps everyone. But 2 years. So then I decided that's it. And so I actually did whatever I needed to do to get this mountain home, because I wanted to make sure that if we were ever to experience something like that again, and I hope we never do, but I'm sorry to say that the chances are we might, that I don't regret it, that I don't regret not doing something that's calling me. And that was my great elevation. So I want to show you a little diagram that I think could really bring this home for you. Hang on, let me just see if I can. Hang on one second. Hold on one second here. Sorry. My screen is not doing what I want it to do. Oh, there it is. Okay. Can everybody see that? Can everybody see this chart? Did I share the screen? Yeah. Can everybody see it?
No.
Okay. So if not, I'll draw it. I don't know why it's not letting me. Okay, here's this. Okay, now let's try it. Can you see it now? The chart?
Yes, we could see it now.
Okay, great. Fantastic. All right. So here's really how our lives, in most cases, it's not prescriptive. And I put some ages up there, but again, it's not prescriptive. Here's how it goes. From 0 to 18, in most cases, we're learning, right? We're being raised by our families. We are learning traditions and values from them. We're getting educated in lower school. We're learning, right? And then somewhere between 18, and I put 45 to 55 because again, it's not prescriptive. Somewhere between 18 and 45, we start going from learning to earning. And when earning kicks in, what is that? That's, we want to achieve, right? We want to have achievement. We have ambition. We have drive. We have hustle. And that's all good. Listen, I've experienced all of that. And what does that require? Well, it requires some confidence, and it also requires ego, right? We have to have some ego in the game to feel good about ourselves, to have that confidence. And so we're in that mode of earning and achieving and showing the world, and we're using whatever, if we went to school, if we didn't go to school, whatever our genius is, we're using that time to do that. And then somewhere, and again, it happens for every woman differently, because we've got women on this call today that are, that are all different ages. Somewhere you move from earning to yearning. And yearning is different from earning, because
I want you to repeat that if you don't mind. Sorry.
Sure. And yes, sure, no problem. I will do that, Jamie. So we go from earning at some point, and it's different for all women, to yearning. And yearning is not an ego call, that's a soul call. Yearning is a soul call. And instead of achievement, ambition, drive, and hustle, I'm not saying you don't have it, but what starts to permeate your everyday thoughts are things about a new call, the call for a new season, a new idea, something that it's there sort of gnawing away at you, which is why this exhaustion that some of you may be feeling, even though you've just come home from a gorgeous 3-day weekend, is because the call is waiting to be answered for a new yearning. And it means that there may be some undoing that you have, a reimagination, a realignment. And I have a great exercise that you're going to do in your workbook in just a couple of minutes that's going to help you with this reimagination. I think it's going to be very helpful. But so what happens is, you see the word, the disconnect. The ego and the soul, there's a disconnect there, because the ego is going to continue to pull us back into what we were doing before, into whatever change or whatever mindset. That's why I'm calling this elevated thinking, because why didn't I buy my mountain home for 14 years? What was holding me back? Well, sometimes I would think, well, that would be irresponsible because I've still got 2 kids who need to go to college. Or that would be, I don't know, because what if my husband gets really sick and his kidney starts to stops working, and he has to go into dialysis and he can't work. See, this is what the mind, and you say, well, that's logical thinking, Joy. That's just being proactive. It is, but what is it also? It's a life being driven by fear. It is a life being driven, it's thoughts being driven by fear about the what ifs. And I don't know about you, but once I moved out of the pandemic and went through those 5 transitions I just told you about, I just kind of said, you know what, I'll deal with the what if at another time. I don't know how much time I have left. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, I want to elevate myself into wherever it is I'm supposed to be now. Okay. So very, very important to do. So this earning to yearning, if you're feeling this level of, exhaustion, or you're tired, or, the ego, sometimes The ego loves something that you're doing that you've fallen out of love with. I'm going to say that again. The ego can continue to love something that you may have or may be falling out of love with. And so it continues to try to pull us back. But what we're going to be doing in this workshop this week, and why I want you to just give me, 40, 45, 50 minutes of your day, of the hour here at your lunch hour, is to really give yourself some time to do a reimagination. This is the work that I've done. That's why I can share it. This is the work that I've done on myself. But to ask yourself, do I have another call coming for me? Is there an undoing that needs to take place? I'm going to stop the share now for a couple of minutes. And any questions on any of this before we move on to this exercise? Anything coming up? If so, just raise your hand. Be happy to answer them. Or is it resonating? I'd love to hear in the chat. Is it resonating? Yes, Jamie.
I'm a chatty Kathy, go figure. I'm new to you and I'm grateful and honored and blessed. So thank you kindly for having me. I want to be respectful, not only to you, but the group. So if I do have questions and inquiries, do I wait till the end? Because I have my notebook, I'm taking notes. So
good.
I'm just asking, like, what's the proper procedure to be respectful, not only to you, but the other ladies in the group?
I really appreciate that, Jamie. Thanks for asking. So anytime I pause and say, is there a question? That's a great time to either ask a question. And also you can put things in the chat, because I'm looking at the chat occasionally. So yes, I want you to be involved. I want to get you involved in this. It shouldn't be just, the joy hour. That really doesn't help anybody.
It's your hour.
Yeah. So I love to get everybody involved. So I love that you're someone who wants to speak out. And I'm just reading the chat here. Ivy says totally. I think she's relating to the diagram that I showed Lisa Cook. It's exactly where I am. Yay. All right. So this is great. And I'm so glad it's helpful. And here's the thing. The first step to really moving into another level of elevated thinking and into a new season, or what's calling you, is what? We just talked about it earlier. It's the awareness. Now you have an awareness. See the chart, this visible chart that I made. I knew this was, in my own soul, I knew it would be helpful because you have a visual awareness of where you are. See, I didn't have anybody to show me this. I thought I was going a little crazy, to be honest with you. Like, I have a successful business. I've got a great family. Everything was going pretty well. I mean, I had lost, you heard about the 5 things I went through. It wasn't like everything was fantastic, but overall my life was great. But you know what? I felt stuck. I felt like I was out of place. I felt a lot of things. And so this chart that I finally created through my own work made me realize, this is what's happening with you. And it's normal. This is completely normal. But what I want to make sure we do this week, and my greatest wish for you, is that if you've been in the yearning and now you're really feeling a call to the yearning, I want to really help you catapult yourself to yearning. Okay. And we're going to do an exercise right now about yearning. And we're going to actually do 2 short exercises, and I'm going to give you time, and then we can come back and talk about it. But if you feel the yearning, then I want to pull you over to that, because what you're probably doing right now is you're right there in that disconnect, but you keep running back to ego. You keep running back to earning. And you'll earn in your yearn, but you've got to fully move into the yearn before you'll earn. I just want to say that yearning doesn't mean that I'm retiring, I'm quitting everything, there's no more money to be earned. That's not what we're talking about. So I just want to say that, put that out there. Okay, so let's look at, you have your workbook. So what I want to have you do right now is just take a minute or two, and I just want you to write down every accomplishment that you can think of that you've ever achieved. Everything. And I mean, even if you feel like, well, that's not such a big accomplishment, I don't know, anything that you can think of you've done, down to, I'm a mother, I gave birth, whatever it is. 2 minutes, I want you to write down everything you've accomplished in your life right now. Just take 2 minutes. How are we doing? Keep writing. Keep writing. Everything you can think of is a win for you, achievement. Okay, all right. So what came up for you? How did that, somebody want to share, how does that feel to write down your accomplishments, especially on this beautiful Monday after Mother's Day? How does that feel? Does anybody want to share? Yes, Tamara.
Hi, Joy. Thank you. Well, it was good because I started thinking about just things that I'm incorporating every day. So like I'm trying to incorporate things that I love to do every day. Even this hour, I'm pressed. We have a new puppy, so life is insane. And um my husband just came back from getting a cortisone shot and he wanted to tell me about it. And I said, I got a phone call. I'm going up. You got the dog. And um, so an accomplishment is just making this time, carving out the time for myself and committing to it. And so I was able to go from, 20 years in business, doing what I do, blah, 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 to I made time right now.
Yes, and I making the time. I can't tell you how much you should be appreciating yourself about making the time for this because it's so worth it because we have very little time to work on ourselves. Anyone else, as you're writing down your accomplishments and your achievements, anything come up for anyone around this? Anyone else? Yes, Anne and then Jamie. We'll go Anne and then Jamie.
Oh, Joy, I just wanted to comment on the thread, the thread that goes through everything that I've ever done, all the distinct career paths, the different jobs. I was exactly where I needed to be to learn what I needed to learn to go to the next step. And sometimes it was a simple step and sometimes it was a leap. But looking back, there's this beautiful golden thread going through everything. And I just wanted to comment on that.
That's beautiful. And we do see that at times, right? The thread that runs through for us all, especially if you're a person who's of service, a servant leader, right?
Yeah, even when we don't see it as it's happening.
Yes.
We can look back 2 years from before, 5 years before, 20 years before, and we can see that common thread. Yes. And it's really golden, but we don't know it at the time.
We don't know it. And even when we know it, or we've seen it, like today, you'll see it, but then we get bogged down in our lives and we forget, right? We forget. And so this is a great time to bring that up. I love that. Joan, go ahead.
Hi, Joy. How are you?
I'm great. Good to see you.
It's good to see you too. So I jotted down some things here, and it's funny. I looked at some of the things. I'm 56 years old, and I'm heading to retirement next year after 30 years as a public school teacher. And I looked at what I put here in the things, and things like mom and my career, and again, I had a dream property I was able to acquire, the whole bit. And I did a lot of this alone, and I remember getting a lot of criticism for being difficult and inflexible and your way or the highway. And that's one thing people say about me a lot. And I try not to be inflexible, but I just embraced it because it is who I am. But I'm inflexible only in certain situations. But then when I looked at this, my point is I looked at this, I'm like, well, my inflexibility got me a whole lot, so, so I guess embrace sometimes of the flaws that people label you with, because I'm like, am I inflexible or am I committed, like.
Yes. Oh my gosh. This is, ladies, what Joan just shared with us is really gold, because a lot of people, whatever you're doing right now, a lot of people know you for that. A lot of people know you for the ego work, the genius work, the earning work that you did. You're very well known for that, right? And so when you really step out and into your yearning, People, you will find some people may judge or criticize you. And let me help you out. Guess what we do? You may have already done this. You might like sort of broach the topic or talk to someone about, you know, what I really think about doing is, or what I really want is. And someone will just almost, you know, I can't think of another phrase, just throw you under the bus. What? Why would you do that? Or what are you thinking? Or I can't believe this. And what do? We quickly put our, you know, tail between our legs and we run back to earning. We want to yearn, but we run back. And that's why I call this disconnect between the ego and the soul. This is a messy middle. This is a very messy middle. And that's why being in a community like this and talking it through, it strengthens you. And you know you're not alone. You are not alone in what you're feeling. So I love this. All right. So I want to give you another quick exercise to do. And I'm going to give you a little bit longer for this, and then we'll come back and have a discussion. But it's called, in your workbook, you'll see the honey exercise. There's a page in your workbook called the honey exercise. And Kathy, I know you sent the workbook to Lisa, and I think Jamie also needs the workbook. Yeah, email to her too when you get a chance. And if anybody else needs it, please just let her know. All right. So here's a perfect example. Listen, what do we all really want? We want to feel fully alive, don't we? When I wake up in the morning, I want to feel fully alive from my head to my toe, from my brain to my mind to my soul, and what I'm doing. I want to feel fully alive, right? And so what reminded me, and I'm calling it the honey exercise, we have a mini Labradoodle, and her name's Honey, and she is here in Park City with me. And when she got here, she came so fully alive. You know why? Because the smells were different. She saw a lot of wildlife that wasn't in Los Angeles. I mean, lots of different wildlife, you know, from deer to moose to lots of things that we don't have in the city. And it was getting so hard to control her that I literally had to order from Amazon. I had to get a harness. So instead of pulling on her neck, which was hurting her, we had to get a harness so it would be on her back. And I had to get a much longer leash so that she could go further. But you could just see by her face, she's fully alive. And as I was walking her, and I thought, wow, I wonder what it would feel like for these women to start to feel fully alive. So in your workbook, I want you now to turn to that honey exercise page. And I want you to this is your time, and you don't have to show it to anyone. You can keep it to yourself. You can share it with the group. But I want you to take 3 minutes and just write down right now, you know, all the things that would make you feel fully alive. So I feel fully alive when, and in addition to that, I want you to also write about your yearning, about your soul's calling. What I'm really feeling, my yearning and my soul's calling is right now is, take 3 minutes and just jot down and write about that, and just feel how open and energetic and, you know, creative it makes you feel. Okay, so let's just take that for, let's say, 3 minutes. How are you doing?
Interesting, digging deep and feeling blessed.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Joan, did you have another question? I want to make sure. Oh, okay. So how does this feel? First, you wrote down all of the things that you've accomplished. And I think as women, we so rarely stop to acknowledge ourselves, or maybe it's just me, but I know my whole life, especially in the earning years with a lot of ambition, a lot of drive, when I accomplished a big goal, I just went on to next. Oh, okay, check the box on that one. I'm going to next. So I think that a lot of women do that, and that's why I wanted you to write down your accomplishments. But I would love to hear, and if there are some new people who would like to share, you know, what do you feel like is calling you, or what would make you feel fully alive if you feel like you want to, only if you want to share, no pressure. Anyone have something to share, even in the chat, if you don't want to actually speak on camera? Lily, are you ready to share?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm so glad that I finally am able to join one of these. I'm so tired, but I quit Poosh. I've been working there for 2 years, but I started my company a year ago. This is my second week not having Poosh kind of to rely on, and I'm just noticing like a lot of insecurities and, you know, just thinking about what makes me fully alive. It's sad, but it's like making a lot of money makes me feel really alive. And I think I have like a fear of, am I going to be able to make that same amount on my own? Like, how is it going to happen? Like, it's a scary feeling. So then I went back to, okay, forget money and work. What makes me feel alive? And I broke my leg last year. So I had knee surgery, and I used to surf like every day. And Saturday, this weekend, was the first time I went out there. And I mean, I was catching like every wave. I don't even know how. I just wasn't thinking about my leg. And that's when I was feeling fully alive. And it's like, but how does that? Surfing is one thing. And then Monday comes and it's like, oh my gosh, I need to close deals. Where are they going to come from? Follow up, pitch, pitch, pitch. And it's like, I left an environment that was so chaotic.
No.
And this new environment is really, I mean, it's just me. So it's like,
And you
uncomfortable.
love, Lily and I know each other, so I know a little bit deeper her story. So, but you do love what you're doing. Did I get that part right?
I love what I'm doing. I'm supporting, diverse women, and I'm making them so much money, which feels really good. But I also am like, I want more clients. I want that's another thing. It's like, I always want more.
Yes. Well, so how old are you, Lily? Tell everybody how old you are.
29.
You're exactly where I was when I was 29. So I felt so fully alive. I had just started my own business at 29, my first company, and I felt I was on fire because no one was going to dictate. That was when I left my last employer. No one was going to dictate how much money I earned and what I did. And what comes along with that is what you're talking about. And that's when we're doing what makes us feel fully alive, and when we're doing what we're called to do, we it's not that we greet the struggle, but we take on the struggle because we know that we're going to push through it because this is what we're trying to accomplish, right? And so I would say to you, look, you've had a hard go of it with your knee and not being able to be, I know how active you are, but I'm glad you went out surfing. And I think for you, and I'm so thrilled to hear, I mean, look, your soul, I really believe you had a soul's calling at 29 to leave Poosh. That was a soul's calling. That was a yearning because you knew you could do this on your own. So bravo to you for doing that.
It's like I thought I could, but now that it's here, it's like feels so scary. And it's like, am I gonna make the same amount of money or more? That's the goal.
Yeah. Has anybody here ever felt scared when they started something new? Give her a thumbs up if you have. Yeah, it's because it's the unknown, but it's an unknown story that you get to write. That's what kept me going every day. And even still today, it's an unknown story that I still get to be the author of. No one else is going to be the author of my story. Would love to hear from, feeling fully alive. Who else is anyone else like to share something? Ivy, great reward often requires great risk. Amen to that, sister. Anyone else want to share? Like, what's calling you? What's calling you? Is there something calling you that you want to share that you're just like a little bit afraid to think about?
I think I share too much.
Well, you don't share too much. You know what? You get people going, which is great. It gets other people, gives them a permission to talk. But let's see if somebody else would like to share. And then I want to hear from you, Jamie. Anybody else want to share or ask a question about this? Love to hear from you. It says iPhone, and I see you're wearing that beautiful lime green hat. Yeah, go, please.
My name's Ava Marie. I don't know why it never says my name. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm kind of like you, Lily. I'm not as much of a go-getter, and I'm not a surfer, but the ocean is my muse. But it's my safe place. It's my everything. But anyway, I'm about to leave a job. I'm old, which makes me more. I don't.
You're cutting out, Bug. You're cutting
decades
out.
Now. Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I found that my adventure self, my person that would just go no matter what and not take no for an answer as far as setting out on new adventures, whether it be work or otherwise, has somewhere along the line got lost over the last couple of decades. So I'm trying to re-find her, and she's there. She's trying to claw her way back out. So I'm a crossing guard, which is great. It's served a good purpose. I don't know why there it is. But I'm supposed to be a writer, and I'm supposed to be a notary signing agent to make ends meet until my writing takes off. And I'm like in this stuck place, but I'm alive. When I think of writing, when I start writing, I mean, the hours just go. And that, I know that's my calling. I know it. God has told me that for many years, probably at least 3 decades. A few decades back, I was driving and I'm like, Lord, I need money. Where do I get money? And the only word that kept coming back to me was right. No, Lord, I need it now. Right. WRIGA or WRITE. And I'm like, but Lord, I need it now. Right. And so life has taken some pretty ups and down roller coasters, like a lot of people. But I'm at a crossroads in my life. Summer's about to start, so I've got 9 more days of this. Well, 8.5, counting this afternoon. And I have the opportunity. I have 10 weeks to put something together, at least and I'm scared to death, Lily, so you're not the only one. But the money will come, and I know you can make as much or more if you love what you're doing, and you take the time to go surf to kind of balance yourself out.
Yes. Eva Marie, that's so true, that you have to give yourself permission to and you said, I have 10 weeks, right? I have 10 weeks to do this. And so what I'm going to say to you is that it's very important in those 10 weeks that you're blocking time in your calendar with no emails, no texts, no notifications, and you're sitting down to
Oh.
work on this. It's very, very
Okay.
important. Okay. It's important because
Okay.
if we don't do that, nothing will happen.
Okay.
Yes. And I want to hear from Ivy. I think you had your hand raised.
Yeah, thanks. So I
If
started,
I
Hang on.
leave you guys, I'm sorry for interrupting.
It's okay.
If I leave, it's because I have kids to cross. I don't want to be rude. So if I escape. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. Ivy, go ahead.
yeah, for 3 years, I have been transitioning into my position that I have now in alternative health, and everybody thought I was crazy because I had a really booming, successful property management business, which did not feed my soul, but it definitely paid the bills. And so now I've become very successful in alternative health, and I find myself at another crossroads, ready to add some product, ready to add some new offerings. So I just want to put that in there just so we can kind of see who's in the mix. Thank you.
So Ivy gave into her soul's calling. She said, yeah, this paid the bills, but I really want to do this. This is what my yearning is. This is what's calling me. And then when you get into it, I think a lot of times we feel like even when we're in what we know we've been called to do, we're called to serve. Even there are going to be challenges along the way, especially if you want to grow, right? If you want to grow, you're going to have the challenge, you're going to have the growing pains. And so that doesn't mean that you're not on the right path. It just means that it's time for you to look at other ways of this new calling to help it to work. And that's the key. It's when you're in that ego and the ego loves it and you don't anymore, and it's dragging you down and you're exhausted day after day after day. I hear this from so many women. They're like, Joy, I'm getting 8 hours of sleep. I took a vacation. I'm more tired now than when I left. And that's because it's pulling us. Now, I want to respond to Shay's question. What if we don't know what's calling us? It's great. So one of the things that I repeatedly, my clients will tell you that it's a little bit like a broken record, but I think most of them would admit that it helps and it works, is if you're not sure what's calling you, but you know you're feeling a disconnect, this is where you've got to commit to these daily awareness practices. And good news for you, Shay, that's what we're going to be doing on Wednesday. These awareness practices to open up those greater channels of listening to our internal voice. Because digital distractions and media are pulling you away from where you should really be. We all use social media for business or maybe connect with family and friends. It's been a wonderful tool. However, it is killing our creativity. It is killing original thought. I just want to say that. And so if you really feel that you are called to do more in your life, I'm going to really invite you in the most loving way to have digital detox days or digital detox periods of time. For example, I don't pick up my phone ever until after I have done my own morning awareness practice, which I'm going to talk about on Wednesday, so please be here. And I put my phone away no later than 7:30, usually 7 at night, and I never look at it again until the next morning. And I'm even doing long digital detoxes now on the weekends where I sometimes don't look for a whole 24 hours. And I feel more peace, more joy, and I am more clear than I've ever been in my whole life. And I want that for you too. And I'm going to give you examples and show you how to do that this week. What if we have children? Good stuff. Now listen, if you have children, you're going to start out just the way I did, where it was 5 to 15 minutes a day. And we'll talk about that. But my kids are in college now, but when I had little ones, I just 5 to 15 minutes a day away from digital distractions and in solitude, it makes a tremendous difference in your day. I know there are people here that are only doing 5 to 15. Can you guys give her a thumbs up if you think it's helping? Because I have clients here who I know are doing 5 to 15. Makes a difference, right, Tamara? Yeah. So just know
Yeah.
that.
I,
yeah.
my goal is 5, and if I can do more, then it's fabulous. And if I can do it when I'm doing the dishes or when I just have a few minutes by myself, even if I'm working, I can find a place. So the more you practice it, the easier it gets to slip it into your day, is what I found.
And it doesn't have to be in the morning. It can be it can be, it could be at noon, or it could be, I have some women who are moms who do it right after drop off. What I would love for everyone here to do tonight is, or between now and tomorrow when we meet for class again for the workshop, is read over what you wrote. Kind of take a few minutes and read over your accomplishments, but also read over what you feel kept you feeling fully alive in this moment, in that what's calling you. Because I just want to leave you with one last thing. If we knew that some sort of lockdown or something that was going to prevent us from just living our lives fully, what is it you want to make sure that you do? What is it you want to make sure that you've accomplished? What is it you want to make sure you're living into? Write that down, because whatever that is, that's a calling. Maybe it's a trip. Maybe it's a different job. Maybe it's starting a business. Maybe it's buying your second home. Doesn't matter what it is, but what is it? Because that's what I want you to start working on this week. And that's what we're going to do together. Now, between now and tomorrow, I want you to go out, and I call this sort of some kind of wonderful exercise. And I want you to have enough awareness to notice what's wonderful. Is it that you got, if you live in Los Angeles and somehow a parking spot opened up, that's some kind of wonderful, So did you have a parking spot? Did you notice a bird on a tree? Did you notice a flower that was so beautiful? I want you to start opening yourself up this week to the power of how life is enabling you to achieve and to have what you want, to step into that yearning. But the first step is to start thinking you can. The first step is to start thinking and believing that you can. All right. Tomorrow, we also have giveaways. So be back here tomorrow. And we're going to talk tomorrow about the messy middle. So we've talked about the earning and the yearning. Tomorrow, we're going to dive into the messy middle and what holds us back. All right. I'll see you then. I'll see you tomorrow, 12 noon Pacific. Thanks for coming, everybody. Bye-bye.